Hi guys, it's Mrs. Garcia. Nice to see you all. I have a very special Christmas story to read to you today. It's a little bit of a longer one, but it's a very special one, and I'm glad that I was invited to get to share one of my favorite Christmas stories with you guys. So, we are going to read a very special Christmas story called Christmas Day in the Morning. It's by Pearl S. Buck, and she is a very famous author for writing all kinds of really good chapter books, good fiction writer. But we're going to read one of her picture books that happens to be a beautiful, touching Christmas story about what one boy does to give back to his family one Christmas morning, especially his father. He gives him a very special gift. So, Christmas Day in the Morning. Look at this beautiful picture. What I love about this book is all the pictures. The artwork is just gorgeous. Christmas Day in the Morning. Look at that beautiful picture. Here is where our story takes place on this farm, and that is such a beautiful picture. The time, I think that would be the morning hours where the sun isn't quite up yet and it's just beginning to turn kind of a blue color outside, and you can just kind of see. So we're going to start here, and this is the father. The story will be about a little boy, but this is the dad as he's older now, laying in his bed. He wakes suddenly and completely. It was 4 o'clock, the hour at which his father had always called him to get up and help with the milking. Strange how the habits of his youth clung to him still. 50 years ago, and his father had been dead for 30 years, and yet he woke at 4 o'clock in the morning. He had trained himself to turn over and go to sleep, but this morning, because it was Christmas, he did not try to sleep. So this man, he is thinking about something that happened a long time ago with his father. So I want to make sure you understand that he woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and usually he rolls over to go back to sleep, but this time he stayed awake because it was Christmas morning. And he's going to remember a very happy memory. He stepped back in time, and as he did so easily nowadays, he was 15 years old again and still on his father's farm. He loved his father. He had not known it until one day, a few days before Christmas, when he overheard what his father was saying to his mother. So he hadn't realized how much he loved his dad until he overheard one day what his father was saying to his mother. "Mary," he said, "I hate to call Rob in the morning. He's growing so fast, and he needs his sleep. If you could see how he sleeps when I go in to wake him up, I wish I could manage alone." "Well, you can't, Adam." His mother's voice was brisk. "Besides, he isn't a child anymore. It's time he took his turn." "Yes," his father said slowly, "but I sure do hate to wake him." When he heard these words, something in him woke. His father loved him. He had never thought of it before, taking it for granted, the tie of their blood. Neither his father nor his mother talked about loving their children. They had no time for such things. There was always so much to do on the farm. So there's mom and dad talking at breakfast, and the son, Rob, overhears mom and dad talking. And dad says, "Oh, I hate to wake him up in the morning to help me with chores." And he said, "I just like to let him sleep." And I think dad just feels bad that he has to wake him up for his help. But mom said, you don't have a choice. You need to wake him up. You need his help. So he didn't realize how much his father loved him until he heard him talking that morning. Now that he knew how much his father loved him, there would be no more loitering in the mornings and having to be called again. He got up after that, stumbling with sleep, and pulled on his clothes, his eyes tight shut. But he got up, and then on the night before Christmas, that year when he was 15, he lay for a few minutes thinking about the next day. They were poor, and most of the excitement was in the turkey that they had raised themselves and in the mince pies that his mother made. His sisters sewed presents, and his mother and father always bought something he needed. Not only a warm jacket, maybe, but something more, such as a book. And he saved and he bought them each something too. So they lived on the farm and they really didn't have a lot of money for a bunch of different gifts. So some of the gifts that they would give each other were just very practical gifts, like new coats, things that they needed. He wished that Christmas when he was 15 that he had a better present for his father. As usual, he had gone to the 10-cent store and bought a tie. It had seemed nice enough until he lay thinking the night before Christmas, and then he wished that he had heard his father and mother talking in time for him to save something better. He lay on his side, his head supported by his elbow, and he looked out of his attic window. The stars were bright, much brighter than he ever remembered seeing them, and one was so bright that he wondered if it were really the Star of Bethlehem. Try and see if you can see the pictures. Dad, he had once asked when he was a little boy, what is a stable? It's just a barn, his father had replied, like ours. So there he is, laying and looking out the window. These pictures are beautiful, but they're very dark. Then Jesus had been born in a barn, and to a barn the shepherds and the wise men had come, bringing their Christmas gifts. The thought stuck him like a silver dagger. Why should he not give his father a special gift too, right there in the barn? He could get up earlier than 4 o'clock, and he could creep into the barn and get all the milking done. He'd see to it that he'd get it all done, and he would know who had done it. So he's got a great idea. He reflected back on the story of Jesus in the barn and the wise men bringing him gifts, shepherds bringing him gifts, and he thought, I'll give my father a gift in the barn. What I'll do is I will wake up before 4 o'clock when my dad usually wakes up to go milk the cows, and I will get all that done before he even does it. And when he goes out there and he sees it done, he'll know exactly who did it. What a wonderful gift. So here is the barn. And remember what I said, look at the sky, look at the light. Have any of you ever been up that early in the morning, especially on a snowy day? I live on a farm and it looks just like this at about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, if it's a full moon or it's just getting to be daylight. So there you see Rob carrying his lantern and going out to the barn. Beautiful, beautiful picture. At 2:45, he got up and put on his clothes. He crept downstairs, careful of the creaky boards, and let himself out. The big star hung lower over the barn roof, a reddish gold. See the star? Oh, sorry. There is the star, right there, hanging over the barn. The cows looked at him, sleepy and surprised. So the cows were sleepy and surprised to see him at that time of the morning, because they're used to the dad coming. So, boss, he whispered. They accepted him placidly, and he fetched some hay for each cow and then got the milking pail and the big milking cans. So he's talking to the cow and kind of whispering to him and letting him know that he's there, and he's just there to be nice and friendly, and the cows probably recognize him from being on the farm. He had never milked all alone before, but it seemed almost easy. He kept thinking about his father's surprise. His father would come in and call him, saying that he would get things started while Rob was getting dressed. He'd go to the barn, open the door, and then he'd go to get the two big empty milk cans. But they wouldn't be waiting or empty. They'd be standing in the milk house filled. So he's so excited that his dad will come and get him and tell him that I'll meet you out at the barn and he'll go to get things started, and he'll see that the cows are already milked. The task went more easily than he had ever known to have it go before. Milking for once was not a chore. It was something else, a gift to his father who loved him. He finished, the two milk cans were full, and he covered them and closed the milk house door, carefully making sure of the latch. He put the stool in its place by the door and hung up the clean milk pail. Then he went out of the barn and barred the door behind him. So he got everything all done, and he put everything back and put the cans in the milk house. Back in his room, he had only a minute to pull off his clothes in the darkness and jump into bed, for he heard his father up. He put the covers over his head to silence his quick breathing. The door opened. "Rob," his father called. "We have to get up, son, even if it is Christmas." "All right," he said sleepily. "I'll go on out," his father said. "I'll get things started." The door closed, and he lay still, laughing to himself. In just a few minutes his father would know. His dancing heart was ready to jump from his body. The minutes were endless. 10, 15, he did not know how many, and he heard his father's footsteps again. The door opened, and he lay still. "Rob!" "Yes, Dad." His father was laughing, a queer, sobbing sort of a laugh. "Thought you'd fooled me, didn't you?" His father was standing beside his bed, feeling for him, pulling away the cover. "It's Christmas, Dad!" So what a surprise his dad got. He found his father and clutched him in a great hug. He felt his father's arms go around him. It was dark, and they could not see each other's faces. "Son, I thank you. Nobody ever did a nicer thing." "Oh, Dad, I want you to know, I do want to be good." The words broke from him of their own will. He did not know what to say. His heart was bursting with love. "Well, I reckon I can go back to bed and sleep," his father said after a moment. "No, hark!" And the little ones were up. "Come to think of it, son, I've never seen you children when you first saw the Christmas tree. I was always in the barn. Come on." Look at that beautiful picture. I want you to see this picture again of the father and son hugging. What a beautiful picture. His dad is so, so grateful that he got up early and did that. And Dad says, "Well, I actually have time to go back to bed." But then he hears the little ones up and says, "I've never actually been able to see you guys see the Christmas tree and the Christmas presents in the morning on Christmas morning because I'm usually always out at the barn." He got up, pulled on his clothes again, and they went down to the Christmas tree, and soon the sun was creeping up to where the star had been. Oh, what a Christmas! And how his heart had nearly burst again with shyness and pride as his father told his mother and made the younger children listen about how he, Rob, had got up all by himself. "The best Christmas gift I ever had, and I'll remember it, son, every year on Christmas morning, so long as I live." They had both remembered it, and now that his father was gone, he remembered it alone. That blessed Christmas dawn when, alone with the cows in the barn, he had made his first gift of true love. And there they are in the living room, celebrating Christmas morning when normally the dad would have to be out in the barn milking the cows, and he wouldn't be able to see the kids see the Christmas tree and the presents around it. But he got to enjoy Christmas morning for once because of what his son did, because of how young Rob, got up early and he milked the cows. And that is a farmer's life, having to get up early and do the chores even on Christmas Day. And so there's the end. There is the farm again of where this story took place. And I love this story so much. And I wanted to get a chance to read it to you guys because what a wonderful, wonderful story that teaches us so many things. One, that the greatest gifts don't have to cost any money at all. They can be just an amazing act of love that you do for someone else, something that you go out of your way and do. And like this in this book, such a special gift that he gave to his dad. And then also just about the what giving means, to give, to go out of your way, and the true meaning of a gift, and the true meaning to give a gift of love. And he said at the end, Rob said, it was the first time I truly gave a gift of love. And he felt amazing for being able to do it for his father. So he realized how much he loved his dad and how much his dad loved him and what he was giving up for him. And just a beautiful, beautiful Christmas story. And it's called Christmas Day in the Morning by Pearl S. Buck. It's one of my favorites. And I have to thank Mrs. Bankowski for recommending this book to me about 13 years ago. 13 years ago, when Mrs. Bankowski, who works here at our school, her and I met, she recommended this book to me and told me how beautiful it was. And I bought it because I thought it was just the most precious story. So I wanted to share it with you guys because I actually think this is the first time I've read it here at the school for story time. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will hopefully see you guys again soon. And everybody have a wonderful Christmas and happy holidays, and enjoy your Christmas break and behave. All right. Happy holidays, everybody. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.